Water is life. Most people are unaware that our bodies are over 70% water. Water regulates all of our bodily functions. It helps transport nutrients, metabolize body fat, aids in digestion, maintains body temperature, lubricates and cushions organs, and flushes excess toxins, regenerating your cells. Quality water is essential to healthy living. We cook with water, prepare our baby's formula with water, we bathe in water, and when we're thirsty, there's nothing more refreshing than a cool, crisp glass of water. The quality and quantity of the water we drink will have a major impact on our life. But do we really know what's in our water? Our water is millions of years old. In fact, it's the same water that's been constantly recycled since the beginning of time. The use of pesticides and herbicides, fertilizers, industrial solvents, fuel byproducts, and even prescription medications has become so excessive they are now commonly found in our groundwater supplies. Municipal water treatment plants are forced to add additional chemicals, including chlorine, chloramines, ammonia, and fluoride. According to the U.S. Council on Environmental Quality, cancer risk among people drinking chlorinated water is 93% higher than those whose water does not contain chlorine. Chlorine may form potentially harmful chemical byproducts called trihalomethanes or THMs, such as fluoroform or chloroform. Scientists suspect that trihalomethanes in drinking water may cause thousands of cases of bladder cancer every year and have been linked to colon and rectal cancer, miscarriages, birth defects, and low birth weight. New scientific evidence indicates that showering in chlorinated water may be impacting people's health because the chemicals are easily inhaled and absorbed through the skin. After your water is processed at the treatment plant, it then flows through miles of pipes, some of which may be 40 to 80 years old, picking up even more chemicals, plus bacteria, viruses, sediment, heavy metals, and even lead. In fact, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services labels lead as the #1 environmental health threat to our children. Lead in drinking water can result in delays in physical and mental development, along with deficits in attention span and learning abilities. According to the EPA, there is no safe level of lead in drinking water, yet it is found in nearly every water supply. Serious problems arise when sewage pipes break, cross-contaminating our fresh water supply, prompting boil water alerts, and each year over 1 million people become ill because they didn't find out in time. The fact is, water contamination has become a major worldwide concern. Bottled water is a common alternative but can be very expensive. Plus, the freshness and purity are often questionable. Based on a 4-year study of over 100 brands of bottled water, the National Resources Defense Council reported that 1/3 of the brands tested had levels of bacteria or carcinogens that exceeded purity guidelines. Plus, over 50 million bottles are disposed of daily in the U.S. alone, causing a serious environmental impact for generations to come. Reverse osmosis is effective at removing contaminants, but it also removes healthy minerals, requires expensive maintenance, is wasteful, inconvenient, and only provides a small amount of water. Another option is distilled water. However, it's expensive and the distillation process removes all the healthful minerals, giving it a bland, flat taste. Water softeners don't remove chemicals, bacteria, or cysts, but do remove healthful minerals. Plus, they're high maintenance and require salt. Another alternative could be the assortment of inefficient carbon filters which have become available in recent years. They reduce some odor, color, and bad taste, but can become a breeding ground for dangerous bacteria or parasites.
If you need emergency medical care, treatment in the U.S. is the gold standard. But when it comes to prevention and managing chronic disease, that's another story. We've got big problems. We're overfed and undernourished. We've not only supersized our fast food, but our waistlines as well. The U.S. spends more on prescription drugs than any other country. But in Japan, instead of popping a pill to treat the symptoms, they search for the underlying cause, and it's working. People in Japan live longer than we do. People in Japan weigh less than we do. For years, people in Japan have been drinking a very special water. It's called Kangen water, and now Kangen water is available here in the U.S.
Prior to my life as a physician, I was working on a doctorate in nutrition. I have a bachelor's and a master's degree in nutrition and completed my PhD coursework prior to starting medical school. So my background really began in nutrition. When I entered medical school, I was trained like most allopathic physicians that our job is to diagnose disease and to treat it with medication and surgery when necessary. And so I followed that model for the first few years of practice. I began to turn back towards my nutritional training and trying to help them understand nutrition as well as exercise physiology and activity as a means of helping them improve their health and reverse some of the chronic diseases that I was seeing on a regular basis.
Many processes within our bodies produce free radicals. Free radicals are entities that have lost an electron. They are positively charged. They come from the breakdown of foods, from the breakdown of toxins, and they enter our bloodstream. These free radicals are potentially harmful to cells. They will attach themselves, for example, to the lining cell of an artery. And when they do, they will produce an injury. That injury will create a response in the body trying to heal it. Platelets will come from the blood and try to plug that injury. And in the process of making a clot, in the process of then bringing in scavenger cells to repair the damage, the blood vessel is damaged. That's one of the theories of atherogenesis.
I've been here for over 20 years as a dentist, and prior to that I was a dental hygienist. When I worked as a dental hygienist, I got very interested in nutrition and the nutrition and how it relates to the teeth and how it relates to the person.
I tell my patients that we are one big biochemical reaction. Everything that's happening in our body is a biochemical reaction. And for biochemical reactions to occur, we need a solvent. And the solvent in our bodies is water. So there's no question that the most important thing that we can do is hydrate our bodies.
Acid reflux, as you know, is a huge problem in our country. People who are obese tend to have it because their stomach and their gastroesophageal junction gets shoved up into the chest. Their lower esophageal sphincter isn't tight, and the esophagus is squamous epithelium. It's a different lining from the stomach, and it doesn't tolerate acid. So when the valve that connects the stomach to the esophagus, that interconnection doesn't function, the acid suddenly starts bathing this lining of the esophagus in acid, and it can't tolerate it. It's painful. People have that terrible sour taste in the back of their throat.
When we treat chronic disease with medication and we don't really attack the root cause, which is oxidative stress, free radical damage, we're not really treating or curing the disease, we're managing the disease.
Antioxidants have become very, very popular because they are electron donors. And when they meet a free radical, that free radical gets what it wants. It gets its electron and it's neutralized. Now, the oxidation reduction potential of Kangen water is gigantic. It's about 30 times greater than the famous green tea. Everyone knows about green tea being a profoundly good antioxidant. Fruits, vegetables are considered antioxidants. Kangen water at a pH of 9.5 can have a negative, which is an electron donating reduction potential of up to 600 millivolts. It's measured in millivolts. You couldn't eat enough fruits and vegetables to get anywhere near that amount into your system.
We rely on oxidative stress to kill bacteria and viruses and fungi. But oxidative stress in excess, when we don't have the proper balance, when we have too much oxidation and not enough of its counterpart, which is reduction, Then we get into the situation where we start to see degeneration occur in cells, in the tissues, and ultimately in the body. We get degeneration of the body, we get aging, and we get chronic disease. Oxidative stress is the mechanism by which all this happens.
I find that drinking Kangen water is satisfying because it quenches one's thirst. One is able to drink a lot more because you don't get that bloated feeling. It is as if the water is very much more quickly absorbed. And there are studies that have shown that from the Japanese literature that the water starts being absorbed in the distal esophagus before it even hits the stomach. It's absorbed in the stomach, and then by the time the duodenal sweep has been reached, it's practically already totally absorbed.
When I found out that the Kangen water machine makes 7 types of water, I started exploring the high end, the 11.5 and the 2.5 end of that water. And on my exploration found out that the 2.5 water is bactericidal, and I am using it in my practice to help with bleeding. I use it to sanitize the mouth before I start working on the patients.
The Japanese have done a tremendous amount of work on using ionized water for wound care. There's a lot published in the Japanese literature and also now in American literature about using pH 2.5 water for bactericidal purposes. Staph aureus, for example, cannot survive in 2.5 pH water. The kill ratios are dramatic for this, and so it stands to reason that this would be beneficial for contaminated wounds or even infected wounds. The Japanese, for example, treat diabetic ulcers with ionized water with a low pH and find that to be extremely successful. They also have published a lot on it, and the before and after pictures are very dramatic. The pH 2.5 water has tremendous antibacterial properties against both gram-negative and gram-positive organisms.
With the standard American diet, it's actually very sad. I mean, that is what it stands for. Standard American diet is filled with sugars and the high energy drinks and even the bottled waters, the potato chips and the pizza and the things that these children are getting in the vending machines. All of that is acidic.
One of the things that you learn is called primum non nocere. Above all, do no harm. That is the duty of a physician. It dates back to Hippocrates. None of us want to do harm. What we should do, and I think when we're convinced of something that is really truly good for people, we should go and recommend it to people.
Anytime our body sees protein that it doesn't recognize, we have the susceptibility to cause an inflammatory reaction or an allergic reaction. I really do think there's a connection there with incompletely digested proteins through the typical American diet that we consume.
Periodontal disease affects 75% of the population. And periodontal disease is a silent disease of the mouth. In other words, you don't really know you have it until it's too late. What I have found is that we do comprehensive cleanings on people to try to get their mouth healthy again. But we use as an adjunct the acidic water that we make here at the office with our Kangen machine, and we use it under the sulcus of all the teeth, in other words, around the teeth and the gums, to clean bacteria during our procedures. And we also send the patient home with the water, because I'm sure you've heard the eyes are the mirror to the soul, while the mouth is the mirror to the rest of the body.
Look at Japan. The country of Japan has the highest consumption of ionized water in the world. Now, I'm not saying it is necessarily a direct effect, but they are also #1 in overall health care in the world and #1 in longevity in the world. When we compare that to the United States, we're number...
Hello, my name is Matthew Westerman, and I'd like to share a little information with you about something that's become a vital component of our yoga studio. I'll give you a brief overview of what this technology is and how you can find benefit for both your business and for your personal health.
Well, if you look at some of the studies done in Japan, you'll find that it's used in a lot of hospitals and other healthcare facilities. So there's got to be something to that, and it's made me feel better for sure.
How important is the quality of the services that you're offering your students? You put a lot of effort and energy into picking the flooring for your yoga room, your heat source, your air circulation system. You put a lot of effort and energy into picking the highest quality clothing and mats and towels and water bottles that you're going to provide them. So why wouldn't you put that much effort and energy into picking the highest quality water that's available? After all, in a given class, a student will lose between half a gallon and a gallon of fluid. Rehydrating them is vitally important. It's almost as important as teaching them a good class, because you want them to come back. You want them to feel good. You want them to feel that energized feeling, not depleted. One of the best ways to increase the number of students that is going to feel that energized feeling is by providing them with the highest quality water available.
I drink it daily. I can feel it's a lot more hydrating than regular water.
Hi, my name is Adi and I own Bikram Yoga Asheville. I've been practicing Bikram Yoga for over 10 years now, and what can I say about this water? It's changed my practice. When I first started practicing, no matter how many electrolytes, and I feel like I tried everything on the market to stay hydrated, teaching and practicing regularly, and I was never quite hydrated until I started drinking Kangen water. I found that with supplying the water, providing the water at the studio, I have students constantly coming and thanking me for providing for them outside of the yoga room as well as inside the yoga room. It's easy to give them the attention in class and feel like you're supporting them, but it's so hard when you're rushing around the lobby to give them what they need and the information. But I know that if they're simply going and getting that water and drinking it after class, they're going to come back and they're going to recover quicker. And even when they're taking class and they're drinking it in class, they're not feeling as nauseous, as full. It's really been a great addition to our studio.
So here's just a brief overview of just how this machine works. Water comes out of your tap, and the first stage is passing through a high-grade KDF carbon filter. Now this filter is going to remove 99.9% of the chlorine, lead, arsenic, other contaminants, fluoride that you don't want to be going into your drinking water. It lasts for 1,500 gallons. That's a lot of water. And then the water is going to pass through an electrolysis chamber where it's being exposed to electrically charged platinum-coated plates. Now that electric charge is what's responsible for the other three properties that this water is going to have. The first one being that there is a reduction in the number of water molecules that is coming out of the machine. That means that the water can penetrate your cell wall 5 times more effectively, eliminating that sloshing feeling that you get when you drink quantities of water, and it's able to flush toxins more quickly out of your system, as well as hydrate you more efficiently. The second being that it creates a hydroxyl ion. What that means is that it has an available electron similar to antioxidant foods, so it can neutralize free radicals that are coming into our bodies every day. The third being that it is increasing the pH simply by separating. So you've got acidic minerals coming out of the second tube, and your alkaline minerals are staying in your drinking water, therefore giving you those vital alkaline minerals that you need every day. People talk about electrolytes and adding minerals. This machine is able to do that for you.